Hello, everyone. I am Martin Nyanzu, and this is the Unsettled Podcast, a podcast for those who are looking for answers. If you are new with us, I want you to know that these podcasts are released every other week. Let me tell you what we're doing today. We are going to talk about our bodies, how we are fearfully and wonderfully made, how some of us are idolizing our bodies, and what to make of the human body. That's what we're going to talk about today, and I'm very, very excited. There is this gospel of self-care or best selfism on social media, in our gyms, on TV, from commercials, all over the place, on billboards. And so we're going to talk about these things and what we ought to make of these things as believers. If you go to Instagram right now with the hashtag self-care, there are about 87.5 million items there alone. So that tells you how much deep we are into these things. And I'm so excited today because I have someone who is a physician with this background to help us talk about our human body. I am joined today by, I have Dr. Obed Kwame Adjei with me. He studied human biology with a minor in health, medicine, and human values at North Carolina State University. And then he furthered his education at Ross University School of Medicine. And post-medical school, he completed his internal medicine residency at Moses Cone Hospital in Greensboro, North Carolina. And then he served as the chief resident with opportunity to serve on the program evaluation committee and graduate medical education committee. He is currently a hematology and oncology fellow. As a hematologist and oncologist, he enjoys learning about the intricacies and pathophysiology of cancer and blood disorders. That's a mouthful. And this helps him to come along with his patients and help him deal with their cancer journey as they go through this phase of life. Dr. Obed, welcome to Unsettled. I am excited to have you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Nyanzu. I'm excited to be on this platform as well, and just looking forward to having a conversation about this topic, and hopefully it blesses someone out there.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, before we get into it though, I want to let everyone listen to us for the very first time, or maybe you've been here before. I want you to know that Unsettled is here to walk alongside the local church. So if you're a pastor, a ministry leader, or also we are coming along with the campus ministries. So if you're a campus ministry leader and you want your people to be equipped, trained on how to give answers for the hope that is within them, you can reach out to us through our website, liveunsettled.org. You can also download our app, Unsettled app, and then everything we have will be there. Please engage with the content, share with people. We want to make an impact this way because now it is no longer enough to go out and tell people to come to Christ. They are already engaged with other idols. And so we need to be able to give them good reasons why they need to come to Christ. So Dr. Obed, welcome. Let's
Yes,
get
sir.
into this. We're going to talk about self-care, our bodies, what to make of it. You are an oncologist, so you deal with the human
Yes.
body quite often.
hmm
What are some of the scientific facts you can share with us about our human body? Fun facts.
So the human body, as it is extremely fascinating. Each time I get the opportunity to just learn about the human body or go to the operating room, which I don't go too much now, but during med school, had the chance to go to the cadaver lab where we actually dissect the human body from top to down. So just seeing how God created this body always fascinates me. Now, with the human body, okay, there are several facts about it. One example is that the human body has about 60,000 to 100,000 miles of blood cells
Oh,
that runs through the body. So, for example, if you were to take this, it can wrap around the world
mm,
several times, at least 30 times. And sometimes when you think about it, it just seems unimaginable that
right.
100,000 miles of blood cells can run through this body, right?
Exactly.
Um, we also have nerves in our body, and the speed at which information in the nerves travel can go as fast as 400 kilometers per hour, which
Wow.
is almost as fast as an airplane, right?
Wow. That's something else.
Seriously. So if you put this in context of the Bible in Ephesians chapter 2 verse 10, where it tells us that for we are God's masterpiece, he has created us anew in Christ Jesus. And just having this opportunity to learn about this masterpiece, just gives you an opportunity to think that yes, indeed, there is a creator that is bigger and mightier than what we all can imagine.
That's exciting. I'm glad you made mention of this fact because the atheist or the naturalist believe that we came out of chance. There's no design behind us. We just showed up, right? And when we die, we go nowhere. So what you make of the human body itself affect your understanding of the human body affect how you treat it. In theology, there is a doctrine called the doctrine of humanity. That is understanding who we are, where we came from, and stuff like that. Some people think that the human body is we are just like animals, and that's it, right? Of course, Christians believe that we are created in the image of God. Now, once you have that belief, it affects how you relate with other human beings. Some think that we're just machines, economic machines. Now, if you're an employer who's not a Christian, and you think that human beings are economic machines, then you're there to make money off of us. So if we call off sick, you wouldn't buy it. You want us to come to work. So your understanding of the doctrine of humanity affect how you relate with people, your view of God, even who Jesus is, because he would have to come in the human body to die for us. So if you don't think of anything greater than or about the human body, then your view about Jesus' incarnation in the body itself will also be affected. So thank you for sharing some of these fun facts with us. My question to you is, what are some of the challenges our natural body faces as we go through life? Being an oncologist, what have you seen? What are some of the limitations our body projects?
So just to mention a few, one, our bodies can get tired. Okay, our bodies can get fatigued, especially if you overwork it, right? Even in the Bible, when after God had created the world and also man, he took a day to rest. All this to tell us that you can overwork the body, and when that happens, there's consequences that comes with it. One, it can affect your mental health, especially when you're fatigued. Your you don't tend to think as clearly, and you start to make mistakes, and we see it in the medical community quite often, for the doctors and um, physician that work 24 hours consistently. There are times that they're prone to making mistakes, especially if they don't have that chance to rest. So going back to your question and the concepts that you mentioned, yes, we can work the body. However, God created the body also to rest as well.
Yeah, I brought this up because some people have not realized that our body itself has a limitation. Now, if you don't have a proper view of the body's limitation, there are a whole bunch of stuff you're going to do with it. For example, right now, if you take people called techno utopianists, right? Utopians are people who have a good view of the future, or the future is brighter, everything will be okay, that kind of stuff. They are looking forward to the future. Now, for these people, some of them see our human body as economic resources. And so
Mm.
they are against any human biases within the body because it's limited. We are biased, we age, we grow, eventually we die. So for the techno utopianists, they hate these things about the human body. Now, if you're a human being who hate these limitations about the human body, to a point where you want to insert certain technologies in the body to keep it alive forever, then basically you're kind of fighting the creator of the body, God, right? And a Christian would not do something like that. So for the techno utopianists, they think that if we are able to infuse technology into the human body and kind of do some kind of biological bodies, we can overcome aging. Eventually, we will not die. We solve all these problems. So they are looking at the mistakes of growing old and dying, and they said, okay, this is a disease. So some of them are treating this as a disease now. Let's solve it. Once we solve it, we can live longer. And so you see that there's a huge anti-aging industry right now, as if human beings wouldn't die. As we speak now, if you go to Silicon Valley, one of the tech giants, Anthony Lewandowski, has brought a group of um, scientists together, these technology guys together, and they have some kind of religious group called the Way of the Future. And their goal is to use artificial intelligence to form some type of godhead so that they can rule the world by implanting technology into the human body. And they are calling this singularity. In other words, there will be a fusion of technology with human beings where we have now cybernetic organisms. So people are doing all kinds of things now with our body, even to the point where I don't know if you know Larry Page, one of the co-founders of Google, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Him,
Yep.
Elon Musk, and a few other people, they have this Calico Labs. A Calico Lab is a
Hmm.
lab that has been set up to look into anti-aging technology so that we will never age and, those kind of stuff. So it's a form of biohacking. And Elon Musk himself is investing a lot of money into this transhumanist. So now we are not only going to be human, but we're going to be post-human. So if you are a Christian and you wouldn't put money into these things. But if you are not a Christian and you believe that we have to fight anti-aging and death, then you're going to be investing money. So your worldview affects what you do. I said this to bring it to a point that what are some of the proper ways we can handle our bodies, knowing that eventually we will age, eventually we will die. There's nothing we can do to reverse this process. What do we have to do now?
um, great question. Before I answer the question, I want to just give a little bit of scientific explanation to the anti-aging movement.
Okay.
So within our body, we have cells, and the cells grow into tissues, and the tissues become organs, and then eventually the organs make up the majority of our body. Now, within the cells, we have the DNA, and there's also chromosome, which incorporates the DNA in it. And at the tip of the chromosome, there's a strand of DNA called telomere, Telomere. And this telomere is actually what helps the process of aging. You know, so as someone ages, the telomeres get shorter, and as they get shorter, the cells grow older and they end up dying. So the whole concept of extending life into an eternal concept has to deal with this concept of telomere and the telomerase. So the medications that are coming up on the market is to make sure that the telomeres doesn't shorten and they don't die off. But, you know, there's no way that we can beat the reality of life,
Mhm.
right? As long as we are living, there's a time bound that we're all gonna depart from from Earth. So, not having this concept in mind that eventually all of us are gonna pass on, some of the things that we can do to make sure that we are taking care of this body, and I think you had alluded to it earlier, is to know that one, you are not a working machine. Okay, you have to make sure that you're taking time off to rest. Now, this is something that I have struggled with for a very long time, and I'm recently starting to come to terms with the fact that I'm not a machine and I cannot work, 24/7, because there's a lot that I have on my plate with work, church, family, and all of that. And I'm deliberately, setting time to make sure that I'm resting. If I show you my calendar now, you would see that next weekend I have blocked off time to make sure that I'm resting. Just knowing that I don't want to put this body under a lot of stress. So that's one thing that we can do just to make sure that our bodies are not machine, and setting off time to rest. Two, what we can do is that we have to make sure that we are exercising, right? Making sure that we are taking off time on a daily basis. If you can do 15 to 30 minutes of exercise, it doesn't have to it doesn't have to be anything aggressive. Just taking 15 to 30 minutes, walking around a little bit, um, can, one, help your heart function. Two, it can help your brain function. Three, it can help your kidney health. It can just help with your overall well-being. So these are just two simple examples that I can think of as far as what we can do to our human body to make sure that we're staying strong and healthy.
And none of them included biohacking the body with technology. I was listening to you, to say, to see if as a scientist you're going to say, you know what, let's insert some chips, let's create some cybernetic organisms so we can live longer and beat
Uh,
aging. But you didn't say that. Philippians 3:20 and 24, when Paul was speaking to the Philippian church, he told them that our citizenship is in heaven, as we
mm,
eagerly await a savior that will come from there, the Lord Jesus Christ.
mm,
And then he said that when he comes, by the power that enables him to bring everything under his control, he will transform our lowly bodies.
mm,
So we have a lowly body, a body of humiliation. Today we are strong, tomorrow we are sick. Today you are happy, tomorrow you are down, as if you've never lived life before. So this body is a body of humiliation. You have wrinkles in your face, you have pimples, you have all kinds of things. But
I have a couple of them.
ah, we are trying to fight these things. Do we have to look nice? Yes. Decent? Yes. Must we take off the body? Yes. But I think sometimes we cross a certain threshold where we put too much confidence in this body, pampering this body, forgetting that it is a reminder that we are going to have a heavenly body and not this lowly body. I think God is constantly reminding us, don't make too much of this body, though you have to take care of it. But there is something better, something glorious that you should look up to. And so we need to work, you know, in this body, work in our lives, live righteously, so that tomorrow or in the future we'll inherit this glorious body. All that you've mentioned, I really appreciate it. Can you talk of maybe food, right? You've
Hmm.
mentioned exercise and all of that. Since you deal more with cancer patients and stuff like that, what kind of foods
Yep.
maybe can be cancerous? I don't know if I'm asking the right question. What should we eat? What should we not eat? Stuff like that.
Great question. Um, and before I answer that, when you were speaking, there's a Bible verse that came to mind, which reaffirmed the the concepts that this body is decaying on a daily basis, and it is very important and cognizant that we begin to realize that each day that we are living is a journey to death,
Right.
right? And having that concept in mind will begin to reverberate in your heart. And when that happens, you begin to think that, oh, hey, what is gonna happen if that time comes, and what will happen after that time comes. And reading Second Corinthians chapter 4:19, where Paul was saying that that is why we never give up, though our bodies are dying.
Yes.
Our bodies are in the process of dying. And I'm not trying to make us scared or make us death conscious, but it's a reality that we cannot escape. And coming from a cancer doctor, where I know that at least 90% of my patients will die,
Mm.
right? And I thank God that I'm in this field to help people, but it also quite honestly helps me on a daily basis.
That's right.
Just reaffirming my faith, one, in God, and also giving me an opportunity to reassess my foundation in God every day, and to move me to serve God the more, because I know that my time is limited. Speaking to young patients, where who comes in with stage 4 cancer, and knowing that this person will probably not be alive next week,
Mm.
just gives me an opportunity to think that, Obed, you have to do more for God. You
That's
have
right.
to live your purpose for God. So just coming back to your question, just thinking about what kind of food can you know propagate cancer cells. Now, how cancer happens is that all cancer is genetic. Either you are born with a mutation that will make you predisposed to cancer, or there's an environmental factor that will make you predisposed to cancer. When it comes to food, for example, there is one process of food that we know increases the risk of getting stomach cancer. So, if you eat a lot of smoked meat,
Mm.
right? Um, it has a carcinogenic product, byproduct of that smoked meat, that can cause damage to the DNA cells. And when the damage to the DNA cells happen, it can take years. It can take 5, 6, 7, 10 years before the mass start to develop in in any part of your body. If you go to some of the Southeastern Asian countries, we see that stomach cancer has a higher incidence and prevalence, just because of the fact that having smoked meat there is also higher. So knowing having this knowledge, you then think to yourself that, okay, hey, I have to decrease the amount of smoked meat that I eat. Also, two, eating a lot of processed
Mm.
foods. Now, our ancestors didn't have that much increased rate of cancer that we are seeing right
Mm.
now, only because they didn't eat a lot of processed foods. Now, with population growing too much, the industry has to churn out a lot of food in a limited amount of time. And
Right.
how they are going about this is to making sure that they're putting preservatives in food that will increase the longevity of the shell life. And quite honestly, these all culminate to cause a lot of the side effects that we see with patients, and also the predisposition to cancer for our young population. And now we are seeing a lot of young people with colon cancer,
Mm.
and the reason why that is has been linked to processed foods, red meat, and things that are not cooked well.
Wow. When you mention young people, well, I just want to say that we all need to eat well, take care of our body well, exercise well. Though we know this body is a body of humiliation, eventually this tend to come down. That is not our
Mhm.
ultimate goal, to pamper this body. But while we have it, let's be responsible, because to have the image of God on you and be in a human body, it's a responsibility to take care of even the body itself. By the point you made about the young getting cancer, the old getting cancer, just brought something to mind that is related to the body we're talking about. I have personally heard some Christians say that age is a number, right? And I think when they say that, maybe they mean something else. But I think biblically, theologically, in an apologetic sense, is wrong, because age cannot just be a number. It determines how long you've lived in life. I also think that it determines what a child can do, an adult can do. There are some things an adult can do, a child cannot do. So if you say age is just a number, then even pedophilia cannot be wrong. An older person can have intimacy with a younger person, because after all, age is just a number. But if age is not a number, then if a 40-year-old sleeps with a 15-year-old or 13-year-old, there's something wrong with that, because age is not a number. Everything tells you that the bone mass of a 13-year-old is weaker than a 40-year-old. So the idea that age, even age itself, comes with wisdom, it comes with some memories. I mean, a 2-year-old doesn't have enough memories in this life than a 30-year-old, right? So age can simply not be a number. So that if we think age is just a number, we do certain things to our bodies or carry ourselves a certain way. You can see 80-year-old lady trying to be, I mean, 15 or 20, or they are refusing to grow and refusing to die, all this kind of stuff. I mean, can a 13-year-old say, I identify as a 40-year-old? And, and,
Hmm.
and what would that mean? You see? So all these things, sometimes even Christians have, like we've said, oh, age is just a number. Maybe people say this because they think that God can use a young person to do something that an adult can do. That's true. But that has nothing to do with age. Those are just giftings and abilities that God gives to people irrespective of age. But to look at that and say age is just a number, I think is biblically erroneous. I don't know if you have any comment about it before I bring in my, my next comment or question.
um I agree with all that you have said. And for me, when I think about age, I think about purpose,
Right.
right? Because when you are young, God can use you. When you are old,
Mhm.
God can use you. So in the mind of of God, or as me personally, when I think about age, I don't necessarily think about the number itself. So when you are growing, it's like, to what purpose are you growing, or what are you trying to attain with your growth? So just the numerical value really doesn't mean much to me, and I certainly agree with all that you have said.
Yeah. Anyway, have you think talking about human bodies and how we carry us? Eventually, we're going to give a biblical response or look at scripture as we close, how to handle ourselves, or what does the Bible say, right? But before we get there,
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you've seen these AI generated photos on social media where a person who is maybe 50-year-old is now in a certain photo. They look like 30-year-old. I mean, the picture is so clean, nice, a beautiful version of the 50-year-old. I'm not sure if you've seen those pictures. Now, that is part of the transhumanist ideology or agenda to kick against aging and death. So we are going to give you a better version of yourself. So that if you see this 20-year-old picture of yourself now that you are 50, you would want to be younger. You would wish you were still 20. That picture is, I mean, your skin is smooth and beautiful. And to some extent, if you're not careful, you are now going to look down at yourself that this body itself, whoever made me in this image, didn't do a good job. I like that one, created by artificial intelligence. So all this is part of the anti-aging move. And interestingly, you find some Christians who are on social media turning their images into a beautiful version of themselves, think they are just having fun. It's a trend that has just come. With no knowledge, they are doing these things. It takes away the wrinkles, it removes all those blemishes on our skin and in our face and all of that. My point is this: once we engage in some of these photos and fall for these anti-aging things, and by the way, one thing I've realized about these images is that not only is your face beautiful and attractive, the rest of your body from your neck down, if we're female, is all exposed. You have cleavages, and it's very seductive kind of image. So my point is, Satan will not give you anything good. There is always something attached to it that will lead you off the wrong way. So all these things are ways we are idolizing our bodies now. So with that is a segue for me to bring us to a point where let's now talk about, you know, how are people idolizing their body? And what are the wrong ways? Do we have to go to gym? Yes. Do we have to work out? Yes. But are people really going to gym because they want to be healthy? Or it's a wellness thing where now we are just going to gym to, to create a certain physique. We want to be chiseled out a certain way so we can project a certain body physique, that kind of stuff. And part of that is idolatry. And we all know what the Bible has to
Mhm.
say, right, about idolaters. So what do you think are some of the ways we idolize our body and the best way to handle ourselves?
So, if you read the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 27, it says, God created mankind in his own image. And with what you are saying about the AI generated photos and um, manipulating the body to fit a certain physique, I don't think there's any type of image that is higher than the creator that created you.
Excellent.
And I I call it the Hollywood culture and the Hollywood image. Um, you know, like you said, should we go to the gym to make sure that we're living a healthy life, making sure that our heart is healthy, making sure that we have a good cardiovascular health? Yes. Um, when it comes to the physique of the body, some of the things that we do that can be unhealthy is using you know mechanical ways to enhance certain parts of the body. you know um the face, the breast, the buttock, and many parts
Yeah.
of the body. And quite honestly, during medical school, I was on the surgery service, and we had this patient that came in, had actually just traveled to Brazil for a BBL, just
Mm.
to make sure that she had enhanced the her hips, and her bottom. And she almost died from blood loss. When she arrived to the United States, she started not to feel well, became very fatigued, tired, so rushed to the hospital. When she came in, we did some lab work on her, and we saw that her hemoglobin was extremely low. So we ended up doing a CAT scan on her, and ended up seeing that she was having hemorrhage
Mm.
at the site that she had the BBL, and she was very, very close to going into cardiac arrest. All this to say that, to what extent are you gonna go to enhance your body out of what the creator created you to be? So just some physical enhancement may not be good for the body, because it may look good now.
Right.
However, in 20, 50 years, when things start sagging, you would probably um, regret what you did in your younger days. So that's just a few nugget that I have to say about this topic.
Yeah, and sometimes I think it's a result of societal pressure, right? The society,
Yeah.
community, friends. The person feels like I don't fit, I don't belong, I need to do something to myself. I think Paul reminds us in 2 Corinthians 5:10, where he says that we will all come before the judgment seat of Christ. Each of us will receive a due penalty for what we have done in this body, whether good or bad. Um, I've not seen, but I've read, and of course I've googled these images to see, and I've been amazed. Um, there are people using something called yoni egg, and this is all from the Eastern religion, right? When Americans kick God out of town, somebody must be seated on the seat of God, and this Eastern religion there's an influx of Eastern religion practices. So now women are even using yoni egg, excuse me, in their private areas. And some of these egg have like a thread, so you can pull it out. And you know what they're using this for? To give them a certain shape
No.
around their hip area and to take care of certain parts of their body inside. My point is, if a young man or you are ready to marry, or even a husband, and your wife is using some of these things because they are trying to look for a certain, they want to project a certain image. I mean, where are we getting all these things from? Young men are going to gym. I mean, they are religiously going to gym more than they open their Bible or more than come to church or attend, church services every morning, evening, afternoon. They are hitting the gym, not because they want to be healthy, but they want to be chiseled out in a certain way. People are doing CrossFit and even yoga. Christians are doing yoga for lack of knowledge because they just want to work out and feel a certain way. But that itself is an Eastern religious practice. And a Christian must not do yoga. It is not just a workout. It's a demonic thing. You are feasting on the table of demons. And you cannot come to the table of Christ with these practices as well. So there are ways we are. I mean, if you go to social media now, I'm not sure if you do, but I do because of what I'm doing now, right? I'm trying to exegete the culture, trying to understand the culture, so I can help believers make sense of what is happening. The kinds of images you see on social media almost all the time
Oh
is
yeah.
about the human body. It's about sensuality.
Yep.
It's about sex or the human body and all those kinds of things. So we have come to a point where now we are projecting this body as if we never die. You will see young actresses, young actors who are carrying their body in a certain way, as if the body will never collapse. So my point is, where are we going with all these lowly bodies? This body of humiliation, this body that will not even take to heaven, this body that will not help us. There's not. Paul says that I strike a blow to myself to make it a slave. So we have to subject this body and not necessarily feed it with the things that it desire. So I mean, yeah, go ahead. I want you to say some stuff.
Yeah, so I was gonna say that this whole concept of self love, self care is actually biblical, because reading the Bible where it talks about in the last days people will become lovers of themselves,
Right.
and just seeing how this is coming into reality, because you rightly just said it. If you go on social media, everything is about self.
Self.
So yeah, self this, self me, selfie, um me time, all this. And I think it is very dangerous to make life about you,
Mm,
right? Because then it you don't have compassion for people anymore, because the entire time you're only thinking about yourself. Reading, I think it's from Acts chapter 20 verse 16, where Paul talks about the fact that I count myself as nothing in order so that I can focus on the race that has been given to me by Christ Jesus. Now, do you think Paul ever had this concept of self care, self me, that I'm never gonna die, and I would love to take this substance that would make me live eternal? No, Paul was so ready to get out of her, like out of here.
that's right.
So I think as Christians, we should start to think about the fact that we are going somewhere, and that somewhere is eternity with Christ. And whatever that we have to do now, the concept of self should not even come into play, because when you start to think more of yourself, then one, where where's the room for Christ? Where's the room for God? Where's the room for the Holy Spirit to come into your life, to direct you, to change the people that He has placed around you,
And nobody
and
can serve two
all of
masters,
that?
right? Nobody can serve two masters.
True, true,
Yeah.
true, true, true.
You just can't. I mean, as you speak, First Corinthians 10:31 comes to mind. Uh, so whatever you eat or drink, whatever you do it for the glory of God. So if you are working
Mm.
out, work out for the glory of God. If you're looking for that body physique, look for it for the glory of God. If you are enhancing your body with BBL, do it. If you can do it for the glory of God, do it. If you are using yoni eggs, do it for the glory of God. Whatever you want to do it for the glory of God. And some young people will say that, you know what, okay, I know I will die. So let me just enjoy this body right now. That makes you irrational. Because if you know you are eventually going to die, what is the logical thing to do now? Is to live a certain way. It's not just to do the self-love, self-care is me, like you're saying, the best self-ism, because after I know I'm going to die, so I'm going to live foolishly or anyhow now, just because. That makes us irrational human beings. I'm going to give you the last word here as we are trying to wrap up. All too soon, our time has come to an end. But I've really enjoyed this conversation with you. Coming to this conversation from a a physician perspective, one who deal with cancer patients, and knowing how humiliated this human body is, and how eventually we will die, how cancer eats our body away, and your personal testimony of how this bring to mind mortality all the time, even as you discharge your sacred duties on the job. You have the last word, Dr. Obed.
Yes, sir. you know Sometimes I really wish that I can bring people alongside my duty of work. And last week I was on service, and I had been taking care of this patient with stage 4 lung cancer, very very young, in her 50s. And when she came in, she was having a lot of trouble breathing, and we just saw that things were not going well. And at that time, her son had traveled, so I went into the hospital very, very late to talk to her, and she said she had one wish, and her wish was to see her son one last time. One last time. So just driving back home and just thinking that, oh my gosh,
Things we take for
the
granted.
things we take for granted in this life is just, you know, amazing. And I just wish that I can bring people into my job and share all the stories that I get to share on a daily basis, and just to, bring this into my Christian walk and my Christian journey, and just to make people aware that this body that you
Mm,
see here, one, is very deceiving.
that's right.
The body is very deceiving. And also, two, this body is not immortal. This body is mortal. And three, there's a point in your life coming where you would reflect in your younger and your younger days, your youthful days, and what you don't want to do is regret the decisions that you made as far as what you did to this body and the things that you put or ingested into this body. So this is just, a few advice that I have for you, is that all of us are created in the image of God. The body is fascinating. Not one physician or scientist has been able to master every single organ in this body. Not one. Not one. It's so complicated to the point that you need a single doctor for each organ of this body. As like you have a neurologist, ophthalmologist, a cardiologist, an oncologist, a nephrologist, an endocrinologist, a dermatologist, all this to try to understand God's creation and to treat all the many, many things that can go wrong with God's creation. So just take some time, reflect on how God created you, and know that with each day passing, you're heading towards death. And having this reality in mind, what are some things that you can do now to make sure that you are propagating God's kingdom with this knowledge, instead of putting the limelight on yourself?
Mm. Thank you so much. Instead of putting the limelight on yourself, thank you so much for the way you've put it. We have endocrinologists, nephrologists, cardiologists, all of that. And I must say, we have theologians to help your spirituality. Because with all, yeah, with
That's true.
with all this physicality, there's a transcendent being that you have to be connected into the transcendency with the physicality. And so with this specialty and all the way God has wired us, a very comprehensive, we are very complicated, and even Paul said that we are struck down but not destroyed, even though we are an earthen jar of clay. The psalmist will say that I was fearfully and wonderfully made. So thank you so much, Dr. Obed, for joining us and sharing these nuggets with us. I hope one day the door will open for some student to come to your practice and then, pick a few things from you with regards to life. Thank you so much. I just want to end by thanking all of you for joining us on this episode of the Unsettled Podcast. I hope this content has been helpful to you. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, like, follow our platforms. I hope you do this because it helps to get the content around based on the algorithm so others can be blessed by these things. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. And this podcast and all other previous podcasts we've done are on all platforms, 16 platforms and over, where you listen to your podcast. You can also get this from YouTube and on our website, liveunsettled.org. I am Martin Nyanzu. I've been with Dr. Obed Adjei. Until next time, it is okay to live unsettled. Finding faith is a journey.